His mother and sister work at a daycare. That is how they groomed and picked my children. And all the while, his parents knew what was going on and just shined a blind eye to it. This is not like I have a picture. This is a 6-year-old child. She's sitting in front of you as a 16-year-old today, but this is the age she was when he her.
We are about to watch the parole hearing of an absolute monster, a cockroach, one of the worst that maybe we've seen. This case is just befuddling to the idea, the concept that he's up for parole 4 years into a 15-year sentence, just 15 years. And you'll be as enraged as I am, if not more, when you hear about the details of this case. Now, we're going to jump straight into his support statements. They changed the system around. That's how they start these parole hearings now. So we're going to have to bear through listening to his support. Then we're going to hear the survivor speak, and we're going to hear Mama Bear lay down a statement as well. With that, let's jump in.
Hello?
Yeah. Yes, we can hear you.
Yes. Yeah, I can hear you, sir. You can hear me.
Oh, okay, we can hear you. Go ahead and make your statement, please.
My name is Charles Musgrave. I'm the stepfather of John Rowan. He has been a hard worker since I've known him, since I married his mom. He has been not much any trouble per se until this incident, but as of right now, he's got a job lined up waiting for him. He has a home here where he'll be living. Excuse me. Everything else he's been a fine, hardworking young man, and right now we're ready for him to come home because of our situation at home. We're ready for him to come back to the house.
Thank you so much.
I'm sorry, sir.
Go ahead. I thought you were finished.
Yeah, I'm about as done. That's all I can think of right now. But we're ready for him to come home. And
thank you so much, Miss Angela.
It's Angela.
Okay.
I'm his mother. He's always been a hard worker, like his father said. Never had any trouble out of him. This is the first time he's ever been in jail, and he like has a home here. He has support from his family, and he's always helped people. He's helped the wrong people. He's gotten with the wrong people, wrong crowd, and that's what messed him up. And so he ain't gonna get back around them. And and we just need him home because of our health and financial, and so
thank you.
that's about it.
thank you.
Thank you so much. Now we'll hear from Miss Brianna. Are you there?
Yes, sir.
You may speak.
Yes, sir.
Just tell me you had something written and that you wanted to read it to
I
me, baby.
have something written and I want to read it to y'all.
Sure, go ahead.
At a young age, and that affected me later on in life. I should have been worried about other things like my schoolwork. I'm scared of all men. I'm scared to go out the house. I'm scared that men look at me in a weird way. Every morning I wake up scared with my stomach hurting. No matter how many times I wash my body, I can never the feeling of his hands off of me. I think to myself, why would he touch a little girl and ruin her mental health? Every day I think of ways I could have stopped it quicker and been braver. I have went to multiple counseling sessions to help me get over what he did, but it never helps. If he is released, I feel like he should do meetings, restitution, and programs. I believe people like him don't change.
Thank you so much. Thank you. The mother?
Yes. I do not believe he should be released. His family manipulated tactically and efficiently to molest my child and my sister's 2 children. His mother and sister work at a daycare. That is how they groomed and picked my children. And all the while, his parents knew what was going on and just shined a blind eye to it. This is not like I have a picture. This is a 6-year-old child. She's sitting in front of you as a 16-year-old today, but this is the age she was when he molested and assaulted her. He is not well. He is not recoverable. And no, he should not be out. I'm sorry his family misses him, but I miss the potential and the what if my child could have been if he wouldn't have took that from her. Absolutely not.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Mr. John, we have handling your case today. Ms. Stapleton, would you like to make a statement before she starts? Can you hear me? Can you check? Can you hear me? Huh?
And he's talking to you.
Yes, sir.
Would you like to make a statement before we pass your case on to Ms. Stapleton?
I'd like to apologize to the community and anyone I've ever hurt mentally, physically, or emotionally. I've been working on trying to get into rehab classes, but they told me I can't because I'm under Act 1209. But I am on the list for Steve Hull. Now they're awaiting the results of my hearing so that I can get into that class and continue my rehabilitation. Apologize once again to the community and everyone I've hurt. And I'm working to change myself and better myself. I've been staying in the Bible and doing little Bible studies with the others that want to change and continue to work with the Lord. And I'm ready to continue my rehabilitation as soon as the Steve Hull program allows me in.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Ms. Stapleton, are you ready to take the case?
Yes, I am. So I listened to what you just said. Of course, I listened to the victims also just now. And what you heard was what happens when children get molested. The consequences are lifelong. This child is gonna, now she's 16 years old, and we can only hope and pray that she does have a breakthrough and is able to get on with her life. I'm going to read what the DA said, and I think it pretty much covers it because this situation started when a child was 4 years old up to the age of 13. So, and there were 3 little girls involved, 3 children involved. So the DA, I think, says it right. On behalf of Caddo Parish District Attorney, the ADA Alexandria, I can't pronounce the last name, submitted the following statement. They strongly strongly oppose release based on the serious nature of the conviction, the number of victims, and the extreme youth of his victims. The DA's office added that Joan only pled guilty to one count. He was charged with 3 counts concerning 3 different victims. Doron's abuse spanned several years, and their office believes he is highly likely to reoffend if released. He demonstrated that he poses a serious threat to the safety of the community, especially children. The lifelong trauma inflicted on his victims cannot be understated, and he should be made to serve the entirety of his sentence. So I think they covered everything. And as far as I can tell, you've only served it from the time of arrest, including that 4 years of a 15-year sentence. Is that correct? Mr. Johan?
No, ma'am, it'll be 5 years on September 22nd.
Okay, so you're fixing to serve 5 years of a 15-year sentence, is correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so 1/3 of your sentence. Okay. All right, that's all I have to say.
Mr. Prater?
No questions. No
Yes.
questions.
Thank you. Is the board prepared to vote?
Yes?
Yes.
Ms. Stapleton, since you led, what's your vote?
My vote is to deny based upon the seriousness of the crime and that he's only served 1/3 of his sentence.
Mr.
I'm sorry, law enforcement and victim opposition also.
Mr. Prater?
I concur. The seriousness of the crime, the length of time he served, or lack of a length of the time, or the short period of time that he served. And that's the reason I'm denying.
My vote also is to deny. And Mr. Durham, you've been denied today, and this concludes our area. We're signing off at 11:57. Thank you.
I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to start by attacking this pathetic, two-faced, weak DA. You know, they have the audacity to write this letter. Good for them. At least they took the time to write a letter. But how dare you? How do you make the deal? How do you accept the deal and then come back and write a letter saying you can't let him out because he's dangerous? He's a risk to children. Oh, so he's not going to be a risk when he gets out on his full-term date? You're so concerned that you go and you sign off on this deal? There's only one victim now? The other 2 children don't matter? Shame on you. You can't take a minute to show up on the Zoom meeting to say that in person? No, you have to write it in a statement, which again, we should be happy for. We're not accustomed to even seeing that. Roaches exist. Evil exists. We just saw it. Acorn doesn't fall far from the tree. What do you think? You think that this is, I mean, come on. We don't live under a rock. If those are the only 3 victims, please. Daycare. You see her say, "Get my," you can't even make up what they're saying. He's a good kid. He never gets in trouble. Oh, his only problem is that he helps the wrong people. What? It's like my brain is just firing up on all cylinders. How many things is wrong with that statement? How can this even be an option that he might even move back into her house? She runs a daycare. Wow. You know, that he can even be up for parole. and he ran away to Tennessee, right? So they were looking for him from Shreveport. They caught him, extradited him back. They only did book him somewhat recently, September of 2019. And then he gets up for parole. You know, they didn't mention his risk score, but I have no doubt it's low. We hear from the survivor, the victim herself, the survivor, speak up. We hear from Mama Bear, who speaks up, and I, you know, and I don't, what she was saying, we couldn't hear her. I wish we could. I wish we could. When the Roach's mother, Mama Roach, was talking, and I felt I wish we could have had the power to unmute to hear every word. You drop your kids off somewhere at a daycare, and you're supposed to trust them. They're supposed to be, and you find out that their son is doing this, and then they have the audacity to show up and say, let him go. What is wrong with you? It's your responsibility as a daycare keeper to keep away the evil. And the evil is your son, and you have the audacity to not take any accountability. Why are you not locked up in jail next to him? Why? Because it's pathetic DA. 15-year deal. Parole eligibility after, I think it was just 2 years. His full term date's 2034. He's going to be getting out in 10 years regardless. And then what? Then what? The system's broken. And this is why we do this. So that the survivors, the victims, don't have to be alone. They're not just in some... And for some of you who, yeah, I don't even want to go there. DAs need to stop doing this stuff. They need to throw the book at these monsters. They have to stop kicking the ball down the road. And I hope that people seeing this full picture, I hope that is the thing that begins to create that kind of change. We're going to jump into another hearing, very similar, except there just aren't the same voices. The DA doesn't even show up at all for this one. So with that, we'll jump in.
First of all, happy Wednesday, and how are you doing today?
We're doing well. Thank you for asking.
And I'm doing well too. Thanks for asking me. M. Litt, M as in Mary, last name is Litt.
Thank you so much. Parole date is 5/28/24. Good time, not eligible. Full-time date is 3/25/2027. Mr. Prater, you may begin.
Hey, Mr. Mitchell, I got just a couple of questions to ask you. What did you plead to on this?
What do I plead to?
Yes, what did you plead to?
I think I pleaded not guilty.
To what?
To common knowledge and the rest of those charges.
Oh, well, I mean, isn't it true that you pled you pled to one charge, indecent behavior with a juvenile, so that they would reduce the other charges or dismiss the other charges. Is that not correct?
Yes, sir, that is.
So you did plead guilty to having a relationship with one of the children.
Mhm.
You are Terry Mitchell, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and you were charged with 10 counts of sexual battery, 2 counts of cruelty to a juvenile, and 1 count of indecent behavior with a juvenile. Is that not what you were charged with?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and did you not plead guilty to those?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so everything else was dismissed and you pled guilty to those.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's where I'm getting at. And you were sentenced, if you added all those up, you were sentenced to how many years?
15.
Well, you got 10 counts of 1 and you got 10 years on each count. So that would have been 100 years if you had to serve them, but they were consecutive. Okay, and then the next one was 2 counts at 10 years each, and that was consecutive also. So if you had to add all those together, it would have been much more than that. But they did run, concurrent. They did run concurrent. And then you got the 5 years consecutive. So you did get a total of 15 years. But if they were stretched out by count, it would have been much more than that. And of that, how much have you served? Of the 15 years, how much have you served?
Like 11. Like 11, I got 3 more.
Okay. And so having taken a reduced plea, having done something so serious as this with 2 children, why do you think you are entitled to get out early?
Well, to be honest with you, I believe that what I did was very stupid and wouldn't have thought about doing any of that. You know what I'm saying? But I have learned and tried to better myself as I was up in here to become a better person so I can be out there.
Okay, I'm not going to re-victimize the victim by getting you to go over details. And just because they'd be very interesting to somebody that doesn't have to deal with this stuff every day, it might be interesting, but it's also very painful. And so we're not going to go back through that. So having said that, I don't have any other questions.
Mr. Stapleton, do you have any questions?
No, I mean, I concur with Mr. Prater that he would have served if he'd gotten all 125 years, and we're talking 15 years now. And I agree too that it was a heinous crime, and I feel really sorry for the victim in this case. That's all I've got to say.
Thank you. Mr. Mitchell, have you taken any classes since you've been incarcerated?
Yes, sir. I have took some in LaSalle. I have took numerous of some of them in LaSalle, and I have a paper right here that says understanding, reducing anger and feelings.
Did you take any sexual abuse classes?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure, but I know I have took several of those phases 1 and 2, anger management, and the one I just read to you, and a few others. I was going into I had 2 more classes to go to before they shut the jail down to be turned to ICE camp.
Okay, so in this 11 years you've been there, you've taken about 2 classes, 3 classes, maybe?
A total of 4, yes, sir.
Well, you've taken 4. Okay. I have no more questions. We have today, speaking in opposition is,
I came today because I don't feel that he should be released early. This situation has caused a lot of trauma for me, mentally, physically, and emotionally. And as far as physically, because of the incident, I have problems getting pregnant. So it's really hard when I kind of start a family that I have this issue because of this, and I'm trying to start a family and I really can't, and it just brings me back up that this has happened to me, and I can't really go forward with what I want to do in life. I started taking therapy at an early age, and I developed a lot of severe depression phases where I would just do a lot of self-harming. I have grown beyond that, but with the case coming up and me being notified about it, it has brought a lot of trauma back up and bad memories, things that I pushed to the back of my mind. It caused a strain on the relationship that I had with my mother because of it. We don't actually talk as much, don't communicate as well as we should because of the situation. I'm more so just feel as though that there's more work to be done within himself. I'm not really sure that what he responded today was something that he should be released on by what he said. I feel like there's more work that needs to be done and something else that could possibly happen in terms of him bettering himself to feel like he can be in the outside world.
thank you. Thank you so much. Warner, Mr. Warner.
He's not said, Mr. Dunn, the victim's father would actually like to speak if that were possible. George Dunn.
Okay, okay.
What I can say is, every day as a father, I have to try to be protective of every child around me because of the situation. I have to try to every little kid that's around me because I'm scared that somebody like this down here causing harm to them. And reason why I feel like he shouldn't be able to get out right now is because even after what he just said, he hasn't been through me the type of learning situation to where he can behave himself when he gets out. I don't want him to get out and not have the strength of his hand to be around somebody else's child, but it's somebody else's kid. I guess every day for me it's trying to be protective of kids to make sure they don't have to be.
Thank you. At this time, Mr. Prater and Ms. Stapleton, are y'all ready to vote?
Yes.
Yes.
What's your vote, Mr. Prater, since this is your case?
Deny this due to the seriousness of the crime, the fact he hadn't taken any classes since then, and doesn't appear that remorseful. Deny.
Ms. Stapleton?
Yes, sir, I'm gonna deny too. And if the victim is still listening, I'm not saying that you need to do this. I just want to put it out there. There is help for sexual assault victims through the Crime Victims Reparations Fund and through an organization called STAR. It's Sexual Trauma Awareness and Response. And there's somebody that you can go to and get free help. Because I do know that this brings everything to the surface. And possibly you've already been told that, probably through the Crime Victims Assistance with the DOC. But this is just me double checking and wishing you well. But I vote to deny.
Thank you. My vote is to deny also. And Mr. Mitchell, your case has been denied by 3 of us, full panel, and we wish you well. We hope that you would take some more training and classes. This concludes our we're closing out. Thank you. At 10:46 a.m.
Thank you from Tenso.
I really don't have anything to share on this hearing because I don't have any information on it. It's just that you can imagine if he received 15 years in Louisiana, that it was horrendous. He was facing, as Ms. Stapleton, the victim's advocate, stated, 125 years. And as you can see, there's no accountability. There's no remorse. It was like, I don't know, I pled to whatever. It's like, what's the big deal? And I mean, he would have been, I guess, 13 years ago. He's 40 now, so 27. Who knows how old she was? And then, interesting on Mr. Tillis, whatever. But it was the CO there at this prison. I don't know if you know her, but I love her. We've been watching her for, I don't know, 4 years, and every single Wednesday she'll come on and say, "Happy Wednesday," and she always does it with the same enthusiasm and joy. And man, I wish I had clipped all of them, and then I can play like a montage of all of her Happy Wednesdays. She just seems to have such a great spirit about her. And the funniest thing is when Mr. Tillis didn't say, "How are you doing?" and she responds, "Well, thank you for asking." And I don't know if that was a jab or if it was just, going on with the conversation, how we do in conversations. But we had the impromptu speech by the victim's father. I couldn't hear it. I tried playing with the volume in my editing software. I raised the volume louder than it was in the recording, but I still couldn't hear what he said. But a little frustrated that, they had to check if he can come on and speak or not, versus just letting him impromptu jump in there. But, and again, I love the victim's advocate for coming out and stating the different services that are available. We don't see that happen often, so it's great to see that that's being done. I didn't even know these services existed.
My name is David Bagwell, DOC number 766674.
First class, is your first offense criminal knowledge of a juvenile. Your sentencing date was 5/26/22. Sentenced to 7 years and 6 months hard labor. Your parole date is 11/21/24. Good time, not eligible. Full term, 11/22/2029. Mr. Bragwell, your case is being handled today by Ms. Stapleton, but would you like to make a statement first on your behalf?
I stand here before you today just taking full responsibility of what I did. and have done my best to stay out of any further trouble, to put myself in a program that could swerve me back to being a productive member of society and not be a problem to anybody for whenever I do get out and can return.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Stapleton will be handling your case today. Are you ready, Ms. Stapleton?
Yes, sir, I'm ready. So you were charged initially with carnal knowledge of a juvenile, indecent behavior with a juvenile, pornography involving a juvenile, and then another count of pornography involving a juvenile. That was your original charge, am I correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so tell me what happened.
It was my ex-girlfriend's daughter. She had moved off and was messaging me on Snapchat and got out of hand. She come back to town and led up to the carnal knowledge. She moved back off and continued messaging me on Snapchat and Facebook. And then around December, when I no longer wanted to have this association or relationship going on, I blocked her on everything, and she took all of her screenshots and turned them into the police.
Okay, and so she was 14 and you were 30, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So you took a plea deal. You pled guilty to the carnal knowledge of the juvenile.
Yes, ma'am.
And the rest of the charges were dropped.
Yes, ma'am.
But they did happen.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you got sentenced to 7 years and 6 months.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I don't have any other questions.
Mr. Prater?
I have no questions.
Is the board prepared to vote?
Yes, I am.
Yes, I am.
Ms. Stapleton?
Okay, today I'm going to deny your request for parole based upon the fact that you have not served enough time. You do need to complete the programs for Steve Hoyle. I don't know if the victims are listening, but one of the things that's very important to victims is the fact that there is a lifetime protective order in place for no contact. And I'm just saying that just in case they are listening, because it does concern them. And that's all I have to say.
Mr. Prater?
Yes, I vote to deny also. Needs to serve more time on such a serious offense, especially on a plea bargain.
Thank you. And my vote is also to deny. Mr. Bradwell, this concludes our case for today, and I wish you well. Thank you. We're signing off at 12:15. Thank you.
Yeah, get back to your cell. Get yourself a new pillow. Go get some soups. Do something, right? I don't know. Can you imagine? It's been 2 years since he took his plea deal. 2 years. 5/26/2022, and here he is, 2024, up for parole. You can't make it up. 7-year deal. And what's he say? What's he say in his parole when it's his turn to talk? He blames the victim. It was all her. Well, it was my ex-girlfriend's daughter, and well, we were chatting on Snapchat, and then, she kept messaging me, and eventually I wanted to get out of this relationship, the situation, and when I blocked her because I'm such an upstanding citizen, I was doing the right thing, and she took the screenshots, and that was it. Then I got in trouble because she was so upset that I blocked her. Everything was it's unbelievable. I mean, it's like Miss Stapleton's like, what, she was 14 and you were 30? It never gets old. Like, he actually, in his mind, he believes it's her fault. It's just insane. But what's insane, we know roaches exist, we see them. What's insane is that the DA would give a deal. I mean, you could see from the evidence that Miss Stapleton addressed just for a minute that they have evidence, right? They they have enough, and you'll say, well, she probably don't want to take the stand. No, don't buy into that rubbish. It's possible. But it's also possible that that's not true, because we have seen these parole hearings where survivors get up and they are saying the DA refused to prosecute. I wanted to take the stand. They wouldn't do it. They wouldn't let me. They took the plea deal without my permission. So you just can't buy into that. It's not always true. At least they made it a quick hearing, you know? It's like, that's just, Miss Stapleton made a shout out to the survivors in case they were listening. Lifetime restraining order. I wonder what his risk score was at. I bet you it was low too. It's interesting. Haven't you noticed they're not really bringing up the risk score thing? Maybe they're embarrassed by it. Maybe they realize it's such a joke they don't want to bring it up. We'll do one more hearing before we jump to the next channel, Mandu 2, to watch really what's going to be also, I mean, just insane. We have a survivor impact speech that's just so powerful. Before we jump into the next hearing, if you're not already subscribed, hit that button, help the channel reach 100,000 subscribers. Now let's jump in.
You failed to refrain from criminal conduct as evident by your arrest on 2/5/24 for the charge of domestic abuse battery. You were billed under DC-24-00-816 and on 6/20/24. It was dismissed due to the DA's office not being able to contact the victim. And so you get a choice of how do you want to plead for that: guilty with a statement, not guilty with a statement, or just not guilty or guilty. What would you like to plead?
All right. I was arrested, but the case was
Oh, now
dismissed.
what we're going to do is just get your plea. You can plead guilty or not guilty with a statement, or guilty or not guilty, period. And then you can explain it later. We're going to talk in a minute. So what's your plea on that?
I'm guilty with a statement.
Okay, all right, all righty. Let me write that down. Okay, and then the next one is a special condition that the last time you, before the board, it's gonna say, you were to complete the domestic violence offender program as ordered by the parole board on 4/19/2021. You failed to provide the office with proof that you have enrolled and completed the domestic violence offender program as ordered by the parole board after your previous arrest for domestic abuse battery against the same victim. That's a 26-week course, I believe. So how do you plead to that one?
Guilty with a statement.
Okay. Oh, I accidentally skipped over one, just a second. And the other one is you are currently $2,249 in arrears on supervision fees. The last payment the office received was from a tax intercept on 6/2/22 in the amount of $196. So how do you plead to that one?
I'm guilty with a statement.
Okay, let's see. Okay, today your case is being handled by Mr. Tillis, and he is going to start off the questioning of you. Mr. Tillis, are you ready?
Yes, I am. Mr. Bell, how are you doing this morning?
All right. How you doing, Mr. Tillis?
All right. Tell me what happened with the arrest and the domestic violence.
Okay, so it was a Friday night. I had just come home and it had been a little while. We hadn't ate. And then she tell me about she want to go take her food stamp card and go get some drugs for it. All right, so I tell her, you know, why would you do that? We don't have no food in the house. You know, I ain't got the money right now to buy us no food. I haven't got paid yet. So she got mad and she called the police. So that's what happened with the arrest.
Okay, so both of you were doing drugs at the time?
No, sir, I don't do drugs. I had did a little drinking, but I don't do drugs.
She does drugs.
Yes, sir.
Okay. What about the special condition? And I'm skipping over one, but the special condition of you to go to class. What happened? Why didn't you do that?
Okay. I was in prison for 30 years. When I went to prison, I was young. When I came home, I was 49 years old. I don't know nothing about the technology of today's world. You know, the Wi-Fi and the all this other stuff. I did 30 years in prison. So when and you got to be on the phone or either on the computer to go to the class. I explained to the lady that once my phone cuts off, once I run out of data, I don't know how to get it back on the phone unless I pay my phone bill. And I only pay my phone bill every month once I get paid. But I was going to the class until she told me to stop.
Okay. And what's your reasoning why you're behind $2,249?
Well, I think I had paid a payment after the date they said. I can't really remember, but I'm taking care of all the bills and I'm taking care of me and her. You know, so
I see.
You know, my money is real tight.
I got you. I have no more questions.
Mr. Prater, do you have any questions?
Yes, ma'am. I'm interested in a little bit more about the domestic violence arrest. You mean there wasn't any kind of domestic violence at all? It
No,
was just,
sir.
she just wanted to leave and you said, no, I don't want you spending food stamp money on drugs, and she called the police.
Yes, sir.
Why didn't she just walk out the door?
I don't know why she didn't leave. And in the police report, they said they didn't see no remarks. She even tried to take the charge back and told the people she ain't mean it. But he had already put me in the police car and told her it was too late.
Okay, have you ever been arrested or the police ever called when you supposedly hit the same woman?
The first time, yes, sir.
Okay.
I came to jail for it and I did my time and got out.
So you
that's
got
when they,
you got convicted of that.
well, yes, sir, it was a misdemeanor that they convicted me of.
Okay. All right. Okay, that's all the questions I got.
Okay, so when this happened in 2021, what did you get arrested for doing to her? I know it was domestic violence, but what kind of domestic violence?
I just slapped her.
Oh, you just slapped her?
Yes, ma'am. She had went in my mama bedridden.
Mm-hmm.
And she blind. She had went in my mama purse and took my mama money so she can go buy some drugs with it. So when I came home from work, my mama told me about it.
Well, you know, and so then the question would be,
because she did that to my mama.
Answer something. So the question to you would be the same thing anybody would ask a woman under these circumstances. Why have you stayed? You're paying all the bills, you say, and she's stealing from you and she's stealing from your mama. Why haven't you just left her and cleaned your backyard up?
Well, to be honest with you, I had started caring about her. I really wanted to help her, you know.
So all the more reasons for you to, I guess both of y'all, but I mean, really even you, to get the domestic violence classes, because they'd be talking about stuff like that that's going on in that home.
Yes, when I was going to the domestic abuse classes, that's what we was talking about.
Right.
You know, I was going to them, but once the data leave off my phone, then the lady that was over the classes, she wouldn't let me just be on the phone and participate in the class. She had to be able to see me. So she wouldn't let me participate in the class no more.
Unless you could be on a computer, is that what you're talking about by seeing you?
Yes, ma'am.
So
She
you
had to
couldn't
see me.
use your computer, huh?
Yes, ma'am.
So what was your conversation with your probation officer about that? What kind of conversations took place with y'all? When you said, okay, I can't just call up, I gotta see her in person. Which made you fail to complete your special condition.
And she understood that. She said, well, I prefer you to get a hands-on class because I know you not really good with the technology of today. So she had wanted me to get an in-house class, go to an in-house class.
Right. And what happened?
Well, that's what we're trying to do now.
No, that's what you're trying to do now. So let's back it up. When you weren't attending, you couldn't get on a computer. And she made this statement to you because in Baton Rouge, they have this. You know, so there's a possibility of driving over there and getting these classes. So why did you not do that?
Me and my parole officer never talked about that.
So what were you going to do in-house? What was going to be the in-house?
Well, she wanted me to, while I'm incarcerated right now, she said the class would take 6 to 8 months. And she wanted me to complete the class right now while I'm in jail.
Okay. All right. And did she speak to anybody about that, or you're waiting to see? So it would be it would be it'd be something that you would stay in jail and complete. Is that correct? That she's thinking would be good for you to do?
Yes, ma'am. She said she didn't want to revoke me because 2048 is a long time and I had just did all that other time.
Right.
She said, well, I'm I forgot what word she used.
Recommendation, maybe?
Ma'am, yeah, recommendation. I'm gonna recommend that you do an in-house class. It should take you 6 to 8 months to complete it.
Okay. All right.
You know.
And so that's something you're willing to do, am I correct? Go ahead,
yes, ma'am.
That 6 to 8 months, be in jail and get this training.
Yes, ma'am.
I mean, if you love this woman and she's having drug problems,
yeah,
which you need it for a lot of reasons, for yourself, and then so you don't need to be beaten on her.
But also, I need to separate myself from her.
That's right. That's what those classes are about.
You know, so I really need this separation.
Right.
And kind of like let her go ahead and be out of business, and then I could do what I need to do, and then get back out there and start living my life again.
When you have something like that going on. I mean, you're in love with a person, but maybe they're not good for you. So let me go into special session and see what we can find out about this. Okay. Executive session. Yes, I'm calling for an executive. Okay, at this time, we have you have in support that would like to speak for you, your sister, Miss Marilyn Martin. You also have a brother, but he's not speaking. Your brother, Sean Jackson, is speaking, but he's not speaking. But your sister, Marilyn Martin, would like to speak.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon. This is Marilyn, and I just kind of wanted to take a few minutes. I won't take up much of your time.
Okay.
Try to keep it to about 5 minutes to
No, ma'am, you have to, I mean, the maximum for anybody is 3 minutes. So just briefly what you want to say.
Yes, ma'am. Pretty much what I said in my statement. I just want to say this on behalf of my brother Merle. As we all know, he was discharged, a few years ago, maybe 3-4 years. After serving 30 years. What I want to point out is that Merle really needs resources. He really needs help. Merle was only 17 when he went in, and when Merle came out of prison, he thought things were still, we were all still children, and he still was just trying to pick up from when he was like 17 for some reason. I don't know if that's human nature or what, but he came out and he came straight home to us after 30 years. I really feel like Merle should not have came back to live with family right away. He should have went to somewhere to get the skills that he would need to live in society. And he did not do that. Matter of fact, when they let him out, it was down on the corner downtown in December. He called me. I was halfway to Clinton to my job, and I turned around and went back and picked up Merle off the corner. He didn't even have on shoes. He had on slipper socks or something he had on. But anyway, they let him out down there, and that was it. That was it. And said, go live after 30 years. And Merle did not handle it very well. It was a transition for him to try to live with us, to try to get back into society. One thing that Merle did that I really admire, Merle got a job almost immediately. I wish I just don't even know how that happened. But anyway, and he held that job all that time, even through this toxic relationship with this lady, and I'm not saying that everything is her fault because I'm a lady too, and I don't want anybody to touch me or hit me. And so I'm not saying everything is this lady's fault, but he could not have gotten together with the worst person. I mean, they just were not good for one another. It's a very toxic relationship that Merle was in.
Okay.
So I just want to say that I just think Merle has a lot of potential. I don't think he needs to be, I think he's too smart for that. And when I say too smart for that, I don't mean like smarter than any of us. I do not think prison is the place for him. I think that Merle has great potential if he has been given a chance and given the resources that's needed. Anger management, he needs therapy, all of that. I think that he can do well. So I was just trying to paint a vivid picture of what's going on with Merle. He's telling the truth about what happened in the first domestic violence case, which that still does not condone what he did, how he handled that situation. The young lady was robbing my mama blind, and my mom is blind and a paraplegic and can't move. And so I'm just saying, I'm not saying that he should have laid hands on the young lady, but she was doing that every day. Merle just kind of caught on to it one particular day, but she was doing it every day. And so I'm gonna close with this. His job, ma'am.
I'm listening to you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were talking.
That's okay.
His job, as far as his job, they think very highly of him. As a matter of fact, they sent a statement. I forwarded that statement to you all. He's been so helpful and helped us caring for our mom. And I just want to close out by saying I don't think sending him back is the answer. I think Merle needs resources. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Him after 30 years, because he was only a baby, really going.
Okay. Well, we understand it, and actually, I understood it when he was telling me what he was saying too. Okay. So at this time, we're gonna leave out. We're gonna vote. The board members are gonna vote. I want you to know, Mr. Bell, I do feel like you have been, 30 years to be away from technology and everything is a huge mountain to climb. I get that, okay? I was very happy to hear that you were willing to take the domestic violence offender program in jail, and that they have a long-term program that's like 26 weeks. Hopefully also while you're in there, there's probably some other programs that help prepare people to go back into society. You need all of that because just to drive a car now is so different from when you were there. So my vote today is going to be, don't revoke in lieu of you completing a domestic violence offender program, a long-term program while you were in jail. That is my vote.
Thank you.
Mr. Tillis, what is your vote?
I concur with.
Okay, and Mr. Prater, what is your vote?
Thank you.
I concur. Do not revoke with the special condition that he successfully complete a long-term domestic violence program.
Thank you.
Mr. Prater added correctly, so the word, I want you to successfully complete the program. And as your sister reiterated, this is something that you need to have a healthy life in the future emotionally. And so today we're not going to revoke you, but it's in lieu of you finishing this program. And also, I would remind you, when you do get out, even though you've got bills, you need to talk to your parole officer and let them work with you on whatever your payments will be, because that'll get you revoked again, quick and in a hurry. So you don't want that to happen to you, and you're already in arrears, so that's something you're going to need to take care of. So at this time, the decision is to not revoke in lieu of you successfully completing the domestic violence offender program while you are in jail.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. Thank y'all.
I'm happy they didn't revoke. To be frank, I was touched when he was crying, when his sister was talking about him. And we don't see that often, but sometimes we do. And sometimes I think people they just want to hear people talk about them in that way. They just want people to believe in them in that way. And he was back in a lot at time. Richard has here, he's looking at a full term date of 2040. So he's back in 16 years. He was finishing his 50-year sentence. And he was 17 years old when he went in, and 30 when released. And she's like, well, he should have never been released to our family. He should have, gone really to like, this is what the Parole Project is for. And I don't think the Parole Project had existed yet by the time he was released. And, there is a reason for them. It's just for whatever reason, we see them supporting the worst of the worst more than, those that seem that I can root for. So, I'm rooting for him. I hope that we don't see him. He's going to complete that program. If we do see him again, it will be in the playlist Return Of. You should check that playlist down below. But man, I mean, imagine if his girlfriend was doing that to his mother. I think that many of us would have done the same thing, frankly. Anyways, who's going to join us at the premiere on Mandy 2? It's, for those of you who don't know, there are 2 channels, and the other channel covers non-Louisiana hearings. So it's Connecticut, it's Iowa, it's Illinois, and what am I forgetting? Which state? Utah. And we're bringing a new state to you soon, just waiting for the right hearing to introduce it. But anyways, I'll put a link in the description to that channel if you are not already there. Make sure you subscribe here. Help the channel reach 100,000 subscribers. As always, thank you, Sir Richard, for making this possible by putting in all the data points, linking the hearings together, and providing the research. And with that, I'll let you go.